I'd say about a year and a half ago, I stumbled into a new type of content on YouTube. When I used to watch like a lot of nonsense videos on YouTube. Nothing really like that was knowledgeable. And then one day I stumbled into a video learning about female nature, and it was so brutal. Like I was like, oh, there's no way this stuff isn't true. This guy's just all toxic, stuff like that. And then, I really started getting addicted to watching this stuff. And over time, over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've just been watching it. Well, not 2 years, but um, I've been pretty into it, and that's kind of what I watch on YouTube now. And you might think that from, just studying the game that you're going to become like this girl guru legend. But I'm going to say it's not fully, positive. There's a lot of flaws to it, I'd say, as well, that I've seen. Like I said, this content was very addictive for me, so I started spending a lot more time watching it and studying it because I'm very into getting girls. I'm a guy, and getting girls is just kind of cool, and it's something that's kind of hard to do. I feel like in 2026, so I feel like studying this stuff for me and it being very addicted to it was because I want to get a lot of girls, and I wasn't pleased with the results I had at the time. And I will say this content, it's great to learn about like female nature and to learn all this stuff about them, all the those words and phrases and stuff. However, I don't think it's very great for building like long-term relationships. I feel like this content is based on quick stuff, but nothing like it hasn't helped me with anything long term. It's helped me with short term stuff, and I'm thinking that's because in the short term, like if you just take this stuff from the internet that you see, you might be able to manipulate a girl for a little bit. That you're this awesome player with all these crazy tricks up your sleeve. But I feel like if you just try to take exactly what that is and paste it into your own game, um, then you're gonna have a hard time once you get past that first, second, third, fourth date because you're not actually genuinely like this person. You're just someone who studies this stuff online and is trying to add it to their arsenal per se. It's also becoming a lot more mainstream, so I feel like it's kind of getting patched. I feel like a lot of the stuff you see on here too. I feel like it's kind of irrelevant, or it kind of can be counterproductive. Like trying to manipulate girls to get them to like you. I feel like that is not how you should be living your life. I feel like in my own experiences, the way I've actually performed much better with girls is when I'm living my own life and I'm focusing on myself, and then they just start to come along naturally, as opposed to trying to text them and all these witty lines I've seen online, or like delaying my responses, strategically so I can manipulate them into liking me more. I feel like if you're trying to manipulate a girl into liking you more, you've already lost. Like, I feel like if a girl doesn't like you initially, then why try to change them by impressing them with stuff? Like, I feel like that's a waste of time for a lot of things. Like, if a girl doesn't see the value you have, then I mean, you trying to force whatever value it is you have on them isn't going to change much. And even if it does, let's say a girl, you're super rich and that's all you leverage to get these girls, then they're going to like you for your wallet or your pocket. When that, I don't know if there's a scenario where you need her like to help you with something, she's not going to be there for you because all you do is it's all that wallet stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a billionaire, so I wouldn't know, but I feel like a great relationship cannot be formed purely off of something external like money or the way you look, something like that. At a point, after watching this for a few months, this content turned me into a complete incel. Like, so initially, I get into it, I start learning, I start applying some of these things, I'm like getting pretty good with girls, and then I feel like I kept doing it more and more, and then I just got completely burnt out from it. And it got to a point where all I was doing was consuming this type of like dating content on getting girls, but I wasn't actually applying it to my own life. I was just being an incel watching it from the sidelines. So I feel like that's one of the problems here is I feel like a lot of people will consume a lot of stuff, but they don't produce anything. And if you're not, producing anything, then you can't get those results that you want. Like, if you want a really pretty girl, you're not going to get her by watching 100 videos. You're going to get her by talking to her and interacting with her. And like, even if you do, let's say you manipulate her a little bit, it's gonna wear off. Like your little facade you have of it'll actually wear you down too. Like, I feel like even if you do end up manipulating them well, if that's not who you really are, if you're trying to fake who you are in any circumstance in life, it's kind of hard to maintain that personality because it gets tiring to hold up a fake personality. But if you do and it succeeds and you enjoy it, nothing against you. Like, this content, it might seem like it'll be solving all of your dating problems and it'll turn you into a complete player, but it could also be very counterproductive. Like I said, for me at least, when I was getting into it, I was spending a lot more time, just sitting on my ass watching these videos rather than getting out there actually talking to girls and working on my game. Like, I feel like this content, it was a good way for me to cope and escape reality that, the fact is that you're not going to be able to get girls by doing some look. I never was into looks maxing, but let's say you're a looks maxer. But like, that's the easy way out. I think. I think looks maxing is for some people. Like, let's say you don't talk to girls because all you're doing is looks maxing. I feel like that's very counterproductive because sure you're looking better, but you're too afraid to talk to the girls and like. You're afraid of them. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of, I think. Because how I see them is, if there's a really pretty girl, I feel like the best way to talk to her is not by being like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, this, that. She's so much better than me. I feel like the best way to talk to her is just being like, she's just a normal person like me, you or me. And I've learned from my experiences of trying to manipulate girls and stuff like that, that I don't even enjoy doing that. I actually enjoy myself more when I don't try to force an outcome. I enjoy myself more in a experience with a girl when I'm just having a genuine conversation with her. And if something happens, then it happens. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. As long as I feel like I'm enjoying and I'm present in the moment with the conversation I'm having with a girl, I usually actually perform better. Like, for a while, I let this content completely take over my life. It was, for last summer, probably I'd say. For a while, I just, would study this. Even years before, like, this content completely changed everything about me. Like, it was a lot, when it was all mainstream, like, it was all red pill, stuff like that, it very much so, took over my life. I changed, my whole personality, like, was somewhat morphed by the social media, where I was, all red pilled, you can't say this or that, because if you do, then she's not going to like you anymore. And I feel like that's nonsense. If you're trying to get her to like you, like I had said earlier, don't even try at all. Like, I feel like, if you don't have to try and she just likes you, that might be the girl for you. Not the girl who you have to put on a show for and completely, as some would say, jester max for them just to like you a little bit. In this content, I feel like, it peaks at a certain point where you consume enough of it where you completely understand everything. Like, and then I feel like you maybe that's when you realize, like, okay, I've know enough, now I need to apply this to my actual life. I feel like if you let this content just take over all that time, like, all this time you spend wasting trying to manipulate girls and learning over their human nature, I feel like you could just be, actually experiencing life by talking to girls. However, I do believe that, this content it's also very good because, knowing things that a lot of guys don't know, it'll help you in terms of dating, and it'll help you, it'll help you grow as a human by, learning about girls, learning about yourself too. I feel like learning about them helps you learn about you. So I feel like this content is actually, it's great. I'm not gonna lie. It's a great, thing to start learning because it gives you so much knowledge, but the biggest downside is that it can turn you into a complete incel. Like, over time, I realized the secret to the game was, it wasn't just learning more and more and more about this. It was learning more about myself through experiences with girls. Like, I feel like a better way to get better with girls is by having experiences with them over and over again. Like the more shots you take, the better you're gonna get, not the more you watch film. I mean, watching film is great. Like for sports, it gets you to understand it and learn it from a different lens. But I feel like you cannot you cannot become the best of your ability if all you do is watch and you don't actually put in the reps. And that goes same for the other side. Like if all you do is shoot but you never analyze what you're doing wrong, then I feel like you also might have the same problems as if all you do is watch but you don't do. Like I realized that honestly the secret for me was just living my life, improving myself, but also talking to girls. And not only that, I still watch stuff. I still like to learn. I try not to consume garbage when I'm on YouTube or something like that. I try to consume good, knowledgeable content, no matter what it is. And I feel like just, live your life, talk to girls, because talking to girls is a great thing to do. And also, study the game. Just keep doing it, because all three of those combined, I feel like you're going to be a pretty good guy with girls and a player, I suppose. A great lesson I learned from studying, dating coaches on YouTube, Casey Zander, YBC Too Cold, Dark Needle, etc., was that you cannot cheat success. Like, you cannot, just by watching these videos, you cannot cheat your way into getting girls. Like, I watched these videos for a few months, and if I didn't, ever apply any of this to my actual arsenal, then I feel like it would all just be wasted knowledge. I feel like you have to, when you learn this knowledge, you have to try to apply it to your life. But not the exact knowledge, like my Bruce Lee video. Take what is positive for your life, and then the stuff that you see that's negative, just discard it, Just, I feel like when you're watching these videos, I feel like you should really immerse yourself into them so you can focus on it. And honestly, you could take notes on them, but all that is nonsense. Like you cannot cheat success. Like if you are trying to climb a mountain, you can't just walk around it to get to the finish. The only way to climb that mountain is to get to the top. And overall, this content it will open your eyes most definitely, and you could take in a lot, but it will not be the very thing to get you results. Like you actually have to go outside and do stuff or experience things, life, to learn and grow as a human. And I feel like that's very overlooked in life by people.